First, I think it's kind of important to define what programmatic is, right? So programmatic is not RTB. Programmatic is automation, operational scale, and the ability to leverage data in those environments for more tactical planning, right, in the activation cycle. So, as that's evolved, I think you have two things. So first, you had programmatic really pop up and in a wide open marketplace. I think the challenge has been in that open, wide marketplace is that there are some nefarious characters doing some questionable activities with bots, spiders, whatever you want to call it. So I'm limited to not necessarily wanting to use the word fraud, but there's non-human traffic that's coming in. And I think that's kind of turned some people off, clients, to the open marketplace. Not completely, but obviously there's some reservations and concerns. So I think you are now starting to move to a space where you do want to create private exchanges, and I think that's the trend that you're going to see moving very, very heavily in the next 12 to 18 months, is a lot of programmatic moving into that private exchange space, where agencies can procure and control inventory on behalf of the clients in quality environments with publishers who we know have not just quality inventory, but safe inventory, where we're kind of limiting that non-human traffic. Obviously, we're still going to have to layer on vast bits of technology, be it the traditional programmatic technologies or the verification solutions or whatever it is, to kind of eliminate as much as you can. But I do think you're going to see a trend into private marketplaces very heavily. And I think that's a benefit to both the trading desks and the agencies and the clients, and even functionally for the sell side, right? Because at that point, you are now securing inventory outside of a real-time environment. So you're getting some security with investment, potentially some higher CPMs for the quality of the inventory, but it creates an ecosystem that's much better for everybody to work in. If you're using just pure third-party data, I think there's nobody that believes that there aren't holes in that third-party data. So I think you take that to some degree with a grain of salt. I think your clients are more apt to now start bringing their own data into the funnel. That's a little bit more, you're a little bit more confident in that data set because it comes directly from the client. It's their CRM data, their first-party data. I think as agencies and trading desks start procuring or creating new data relationships, be it amongst themselves or with other partners, you're going to see that data get a little bit better. So ultimately, you do want to use your historical data to help predict your future, right? And I think that's the part that's kind of traditionally been missing in a lot of this programmatic approach. Is it's always kind of like bringing in a third party or even a first party, and then using that forward thinking, but not necessarily taking that information that you have historically and applying that and applying that within the algorithm to help make the decisions. As regards ACR or visual recognition or anything that will help in the video space, I think those are all positive signals. I think that those are great to apply and then combine with your other forms of data to help kind of get more traction. But the key is that you have to learn from it. So as you apply all these various data signals, be it ACR, be it facial recognition, be it third party, first party, second party, whatever those data sets are, you have to continue to learn. And I think people want to get that magic bullet. So I apply all this data and I'm going to get, boom, results. And I don't think it works that way. I think you have to continue to learn, continue to optimize, and continue to use all the information available to you to continually improve the cycle. And that's the piece that I think people are starting to kind of get. And now that's where you're really starting to see a little bit more application of DMPs and things of that nature, because it'll help aggregate and monitor that entire historical signal and continue to feed that into the segments that you're going to go out and buy in. So there's a lot of work to be done. I think we're in a good place today, but you're never in the place where you're fully set. I think there's a continued growth that's going to happen, and I think that's a positive thing. And I think anybody that thinks that we're finished is probably a little naive in that scenario, but we definitely have a long way to go, but I think we're in a really, really good direction at this point. I think the smart agencies, and I would like to include ourselves into that funnel, I think the smart agencies today are already using digital signals to help inform television. Now there's a couple of different ways you might approach that, and I can't give away trade secrets, if you will, but I think if you're intelligent about what you want to do, you want to use all your media to help inform the other media. So I think you're seeing that smart agencies are applying these digital signals to help inform that linear, and there are, again, various sets of tools that will help kind of move in that direction. But at the end of the day, TV is bought in a certain way, which is very, very different than how we're buying digital, right? You're looking at demo, right, and really broad strokes demo versus now really, really targeted scenarios. So I think today that's an informative. I think over the course of time, as TV becomes slightly more digitized, right, so you're going to get proliferation of smart TVs, proliferation of apps on those smart TVs. I think you're going to see changes in delivering content in terms of it being less, I wouldn't say less appointment, because I still think it'll be appointment to some extent, but I think it'll be less about live appointment and more about when it becomes available. So a little bit of that Netflix model, ad supported ideally. And I think once you move kind of towards that, and it's a little bit more IP based, then you could start applying digital and digital targeting into that world as well. I think that's where you're going to see programmatic, in TV start to scale a little bit, but we are several years away from that. The back-end systems for linear program providers are not in a position today to move in that direction. They're slightly antiquated, and there's a significant amount of investment, time, energy, and effort that programmers have to put in to get their systems in place so that you can move towards a better targeting model, and you can move towards a little bit more of strategic audience targeting as opposed to high-level demo targeting. We have a little bit of time there, but I think that's starting to kind of, it's being birthed right now. I think that's the best way to describe it. In a few years, we'll be in the toddler phase. 10 years from now, we'll probably be in that teenager phase where we're kind of moving in aggressively into this programmatic TV space where you can take all these various digital signals and signals across your entire investment as everything digitizes, and then move that into linear TV and start making much more tactical decisions about your investment in that media. We talked a little bit about private marketplaces and things of that nature. I think those are topics and things that clients should be aware of and agencies should be aware of, and how do you grow and develop that, and how do you create unique environments that are I don't want to be redundant here, but unique environments that are specific to either that agency or that holding company or whatever it is, that create opportunities for clients to take advantage of that. Digital is at this point relatively mature, right? So I don't know that there's a tremendous amount of learning to be done there. I think that there's a tremendous amount of investment in understanding the technologies behind digital. So it's less about the media and a banner or a native ad or a mobile ad. It's more about what are the signals and what are the technologies behind it that allow you to scale and target more effectively, and then again use that directive in your other media. So whether that be out of home, print, radio, whatever that is, the more information you have and the more you aggregate your own data, and I think that's the thing that I think people will take on a little bit, is how do you manage your own data and how do you use that to inform your media decisions. So it's a little bit of a evolution of MMM, if you will, and we're getting to a point where you could use signals a little bit better and more effectively because of the technology available today. And that's going to continue to iterate, that's going to continue to grow, but I think it'll put clients in a position to be much more strategic about their investment along with their agency partners. So I think that's the kind of thing that I'd love for things to focus on, which is the back end. It's not necessarily the sexiest thing, but I think it's really, really important for clients and agencies and publishers really to understand the back-end systems that are working there and what they enable you to do. And if you understand that a little bit more, you can be a lot more strategic and really tactical about how you approach your investments.